Folks, it just seems like you can't turn anywhere these days without seeing or hearing that we're going to go off the fiscal cliff.
It's doomsday. Year 2000, 2000K, the bug, it's going to swallow us up. The fiscal cliff is the end of the world.
And I'll tell you, I think that we really, when we consider that the economy and our current system with all of the entitlement guarantees and all of that, the things we have to do to correct our system that we're in today, and the way that we need to cut our spending and bring that down, if we can't go over the fiscal cliff, we've got some much larger problems coming in the future because we have to make much larger cuts than...
Right. And for those of you, let's start with the very basics. For those of you who have not seen or heard about the fiscal cliff, and you've been living someplace on the planet...
Yes, under a rock.
what is exactly entailed in the fiscal cliff? And it's basically, I won't call them draconian cuts, but it's cuts in defense,
right,
and some other non-defense such as education, food inspections, air travel.
Right.
And then the biggest thing is probably the end of the Bush
era tax
cuts, right, which are increases in income tax, capital gains tax going up.
Yeah. And it really seems like, I hate to get too much into the politics of this, but...
It's a political event.
But it is a political event, yes. And it does seem like the ball is really in the president's court. It's in his favor a little bit. If he wants to allow us to go over the fiscal cliff, he will get a lot of the cuts in military spending that he would like to have. He will get the cut to the taxes, or he'll get raise the taxes, increase the taxes to the rich, and then he can kind of benevolently, appear to give money back to the middle class. So it isn't all bad for him to necessarily go over the fiscal cliff, and yet it is possible that we'll come to some kind of an agreement, with the Republicans.
Yeah, as I say, both of them are playing the don't blink game at this stage, and we've just had the election. Each side campaigned for what they thought was the right answer,
right,
and ultimately neither one wants to blink. So we'll either have a 12-hour,
which may not be a good situation,
right,
when we force a deal,
right, or we'll get an extension of the current agreement,
right,
and so what does the impact? Let's assume the fiscal cliff is going to happen. We're going over.
We're going over. It's
okay. So what's that mean for the economy? What's that mean for savers, for retirees,
and even more so for annuities?
Right.
Is it going to create a problem if you have an annuity and we go over the fiscal cliff?
Right. And so if you already own an annuity, you're probably actually in pretty good place, because it means that even if you're in an indexed annuity, you've kind of taken those bumps out. Now, if you're in a variable annuity and the market tanks,
that could be a problem.
Your principal could be at risk, so that could be a potential. But then you've hopefully got some income riders that are going to protect. You've paid for that insurance and those riders usually to protect your dollars.
Right. Now, I would say that if you don't have an annuity and you're considering maybe getting an annuity, I wouldn't do it just because of the fiscal cliff. If you haven't been thinking about this or planning on getting an annuity,
it's not like a fire sale.
I wouldn't run out for that reason alone and get an annuity. However, if you've really been thinking, about an annuity and how it will give you more safety, security, retirement income, and you're fairly close maybe in your planning or your thought processes, then the fiscal cliff could make a good reason to go ahead and go forward. From the standpoint of avoiding some larger capital gains taxes that are likely to come, later if you were to cash out of some investments and then put the money into annuities. So there could be some good reasons, to consider.
And here we're specifically talking about non-qualified dollars.
Non-qualified dollars, right.
Qualified dollars don't really come
your IRAs and 401ks and this type of thing that you may want to transfer into annuities.
That really doesn't come into play on what we're talking about on that side.
Right. So. And I think really, Eric, the bigger concern here does come back to not so much the hype that's in the media and the fiscal cliff and how we solve that. It's really what we're going to do to get our spending under control overall and get our government on sound financial footing. And just by watching these different gyrations of coming to agreements on budgets and agreeing how to avoid the fiscal cliff, it seems that we're really in for a rough maybe a decade or two of headwinds.
And that's, we know for a fact, if Ben Bernanke holds to his promise, and
Which they just came out with today, saying that those rates are going to
2015.
Yeah,
the earliest.
Well, until they see unemployment rates drop below 6.5%, they're going to continue to depress interest rates down to near zero.
So what's that mean? If you're a saver, or you're a retiree, depending on that interest, and that's exactly it. So where are you going to go find the places to park those dollars? Right. And that's where annuities do come into play from a longevity standpoint.
Yes.
If you've got these next few years where you're counting on income, an annuity is an option, and that's where it does come into play with some of the headwinds that we're facing. Right,
because you can structure an annuity so that you know that from contractual guarantees that you're going to have a certain level of income, which is really a pretty good level of income that you can count on 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, and then you know that once you turn that on, no matter how long you live, you've got that longevity insurance aspect that it's going to keep paying.
Exactly, and that's where I think you can look at the different aspects of either laddering annuities or some strategies to really deal with the economic climate right now, and then also set some pieces out there so that you have some flexibility in the future when things hopefully change for the positive.
Exactly. So should anybody be worried right now about going off the fiscal cliff?
Here we go. No, I would say it's already priced into the market. We already know what's going to happen in the sense of that side. So no.
And I agree with Eric that it's more of a political event. They will likely do something at the 11th, 12th, or 13th hour. And we will go on to our next hurdle, which is coming up with some type of a budget, a national budget. Imagine that.
So we'll see you on the other side of the fiscal cliff.
Thank you.
Thank you.